In 2013, a team of scientists recorded something they weren't supposed to see. A patient's heart had just stopped. Clinically, the body was gone. No pulse, no blood flow. By every medical definition, death had already begun. But the brain was still on, not flickering, not fading. It was surging. For 30 seconds, the dying brain produced more electrical activity than it did while fully conscious and awake. A storm of signals, more organized, more synchronized than anything the patient had experienced in the hours before. Somewhere inside that storm was a thought. We don't know what it was, but for the first time in human history, we can prove it existed. And once you understand what that thought might be, you'll never think about death the same way again. For most of human history, this question belonged to priests, not scientists. What happens in the final second? What the dying mind experiences? Whether there's a last flicker of awareness or just silence, like a light switch flipped off. Religions built entire afterlives around the answer. Cultures shaped their fear of death around it. Every human who has ever lived has wondered at least once in some quiet moment, what will I be thinking right before I go? But nobody could actually check until dying stopped being instant. Modern medicine changed something fundamental. Cardiac arrest used to mean death immediately. Now, with monitoring equipment attached to the skull, doctors can watch the final minutes of a human brain in real time as it shuts down organ by organ, system by system. And what they found didn't look like an ending. It looked like something switching on. Here's where it gets strange. When the heart stops, the brain doesn't die instantly. It has roughly 20 to 30 seconds of fuel left, enough time for one last massive burst of activity. Researchers call it a surge. In the seconds after clinical death, gamma wave activity, the same brainwave pattern associated with high-level thought, memory recall, and focused consciousness spikes dramatically. In some cases, it exceeds waking levels, which raises an unsettling question. If the brain is producing more conscious level activity than normal in its final moments, what exactly is it thinking about? Some researchers have a theory, and it's not comforting. They believe the dying brain may be doing something it does at only one other point in a human life. It replays everything. This is where the story stops being about brainwaves and starts being about you. Survivors of cardiac arrest, people who were clinically dead and brought back, have described something eerily consistent across cultures, across religions, across people who had never spoken to each other in their lives. A compression, a flood, not a single memory, all of them. At once, not in order, but somehow, all understood at the same time. Childhood, a stranger's face from 30 years ago. The smell of a room you forgot existed, the exact weight of a hand you once held. Scientists have a name for this too: life review. And here's the part almost nobody talks about. It doesn't feel like remembering. Survivors describe it as reliving, not watching your life, being inside it again, every version of yourself at once, feeling what you felt the first time, except now, with something added: understanding. People describe suddenly knowing how their actions affected others, feeling a parent's exhaustion they never noticed as a child, feeling the loneliness of a friend they brushed off, feeling their own cruelty, finally, from the outside. Imagine that. Your last conscious act on earth might not be a thought. It might be a judgment, but here's the twist that changes everything. This isn't unique to dying. The gamma wave surge, the exact neural signature detected in the dying brain, has been recorded in one other place: deep meditation. The same brainwave state monks spend decades training to reach voluntarily, may be the same state your brain forces you into automatically in the final seconds of your life, which means whatever that is, total awareness, total presence, total clarity, your brain has access to it the entire time. It's just locked behind a door that only opens once. Read that again. The most heightened, aware, clear state of consciousness a human brain can produce might be sitting there the whole time, unused, and the only guaranteed way to access it is to die. That should terrify you a little. It should also make you ask why we're not looking for the other key. Now, here's where the story gets even stranger, because not everyone's last thought is the same. Some near-death survivors report none of this. No flood, no light, no review, just nothing. A gap, silence, and then waking up in a hospital bed with no memory of the in-between at all. For decades, this was dismissed as inconsistency, bad data, unreliable witnesses, but a newer theory offers something colder. What if everyone experiences the surge, the flood, the review, the final clarity, but only some people are able to store the memory of it? What if dying always includes that last thought, but most of us simply don't get to keep it? Which means somewhere, in every person who has ever died peacefully in their sleep, in every soldier on a battlefield, in every person who slipped away quietly in a hospital bed while their family held their hand, there may have been one final, overwhelming moment of total clarity, and none of them got to tell us what it was. We are surrounded every single day by the aftermath of a secret nobody was allowed to keep. This is where the science stops, and the harder question begins. Because if the dying brain reaches back through every memory it has, compresses an entire life into a single moment, and replays it with total emotional understanding, what does that say about the life happening right now? Somewhere, decades from now, this exact moment, you watching this, sitting wherever you're sitting, might resurface. Not as a memory you choose to keep, as one your brain decides was important enough to show you again at the one moment it can no longer lie to you about what mattered. That's the uncomfortable part. The dying brain doesn't ask what you achieved. It shows you what you felt and made others feel. Every small moment of kindness you thought no one noticed. Every quiet cruelty you assumed was forgotten. Every person you loved and never told. All of it, filed away, waiting. Not for a court, not for a god, for you. And this is the part that should stay with you longest. We spend our entire lives terrified of the moment of death, the pain, the fear, the unknown. But the evidence suggests the moment itself might not be frightening at all. It might be the opposite. A final surge of clarity, a flood of everything you are, everyone you loved, every version of yourself you ever were, arriving all at once, finally understood, finally whole. The tragedy was never the ending. It's that we spend our entire lives running from the one moment we're finally forced to see everything clearly. And we won't remember it long enough to tell anyone what we found. So the real question was never what happens when we die. It's this. If your brain is already building the highlight reel, quietly, every single day, filing away what actually mattered while you were busy chasing everything else, what is it recording right now?